Hello and welcome to another episode of Carnivore Evolution. I'm your host, Victoria Olson, and our other host is Mark Ennis. He'll be on camera in a moment. And our guest today is Christopher Medina from California, who's been a carnivore since 2022, and he has lots to tell us about his carnivore journey. Welcome, Chris. Welcome to the show. Hi
Thank you
there.
very
Welcome,
much,
Chris.
Victoria and Mark. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, we're
No problem at
so
all.
pleased. Very pleased to have you here. So we know that you've been a carnivore since 2022. So tell us how you came to carnivore, because you do also mention in your bio that you sent us that you were plant-based at one time. How did that uh, happen
Many
to
years
you?
ago, back when I was going to high school, I did plant-based and I also did standard American, just like every other person, just like everybody else.
Mhm.
And when I got real heavy into nutrition in 2010 and 2011. And basically, what I was being taught was all about going plant based and that plant based was the way.
Mm.
But I opened my mind to the opposite because, of course, there's a flip side to every coin, and you always have to open your mind to the contrary perspective. So, throughout 2019, I discovered people like Dr. Eric Berg, Dr. Shawn Baker,
Mm.
and Dr. Ken Berry. I learned more about keto and intermittent fasting through Dr. Eric Berg's videos and content. And then as I discovered even more different social media influencers and doctors in the medical and nutrition spaces, I found Dr. Shawn Baker, who did a whole series of videos reporting all these anecdotes of people that have had major and significant success on the carnivore diet. And then I also came upon Dr. Ken Berry, who talked about keto, carnivore, ketovore, and intermittent fasting, and all the different options that we have to improve our health and quality of life. And as I started learning more about that, I took everything with a grain of salt back in 2019. I had a little bit of skepticism regarding all the major benefits that people were experiencing on carnivore, but the more people I observed and saw on social media who had these major successes, it just it just kept resonating with me more and more. And then eventually in 2022, about 3.5 years later, I went on my own carnivore journey by starting the 90-day carnivore challenge. And throughout the first 2 to 3 weeks, I felt significantly better as a strict carnivore compared to doing animal based. And I'll list off some of my benefits too that I experienced. So, for one, I didn't exercise when I started the first 2 weeks as a strict carnivore, but I felt that I had a lot more muscle. I
Mm-hmm.
felt more fit. I performed a lot better physically and athletically. I also had better mental clarity. And my skin also started clearing up too. By 4 weeks, my skin really started clearing up significantly.
Wow,
I
that's pretty
always,
fast.
yeah, ever since 2007, I had a major acne problem. Back in 2007, I ate a standard American diet. I mean, that's what I grew up on, and I've been
Mm-hmm.
on a standard American diet for most of my life. And it's I feel a significant difference doing a whole foods carnivore diet compared to all the
I'm sorry. I'm
previous.
sorry, Chris. I'm sorry, Chris. But when you mentioned your skin, was that the issue all along? Like when it came to your health, was it always the skin issue, or was it always a weight issue when you were doing the
I
vegan diet or the
had
standard diet?
I had acne vulgaris as well as being overweight. I was fat back when I was in elementary school, so I started losing a lot of that fat weight when I was a freshman going through junior year in high school, but I was still basically skinny fat by the time I was a junior in high school. because I only dabbled in weightlifting and just didn't really do, serious exercises on a weekly basis. So I was basically skinny fat. But
Mm.
by 2013, I started doing more of the keto lifestyle, even though I didn't really know what keto was at the time. I got into heavy weightlifting in August of 2013, and I started eating meals like steak and broccoli on a regular basis. And I noticed some improvements and some results when it came to my physique. I had bigger biceps, bigger chest. I had a leaner stomach, but as I progressed through 2015, I just wasn't seeing any more results after that, and I went back to Standard American. I've been kind of back and forth from time to time,
Mm.
but I went to Standard American, and no matter how hard I trained, I still wasn't seeing the results that I wanted, and it felt depressing at the time.
Mm.
It's like, I just felt I wasn't doing good enough. And back during that time, I didn't really have any idea how much of a major impact that diet would have on the results that I was seeking to achieve. I had
Mm.
no
Mm.
idea that diet was so powerful
Mm.
Yeah,
during
And,
that
surprising.
time.
and yeah, and when we look at what's going on in the world at the moment, especially around training, you'll have like say 60, 70, 80% of the world that will say like, listen, well, you can't get the results in the gym unless you're on a carbohydrate diet. So this is what we're told at the moment. You cannot build muscle without carbohydrates. It's complete and utter rubbish because I've proved it many, many times. I've been in the gym now for I've been in the gym for over 30 years, but I've been doing carnivore for over 5 years. And I can tell you right now that in the last 5 years, I put on more muscle in that 5 years than I've ever done in the last 30 years. Because I think people need to understand that when you introduce carbohydrates into your diet, this is only just an illusion. You might look bigger, you might look that you're getting lean, but we need to understand what do we class as when we want to get in shape. Currently, at the moment, it's like we all need to be in restriction. We all need to be on a low calorie diet. Every one of us know that when it comes to training, we can get in amazing shape being on a low calorie diet. But the question is this: is it sustainable? Can you do it? Can you do it for say three three months, even 6 months? No. More than
And is it
likely,
healthy?
it's not healthy. You're going to end up giving up very, very quickly. Now, when you flip that and you see an awful lot of people going when they go towards keto and they end up doing keto wrong, they end up adding the vegetables in and then they go on a high protein diet. Now, what you're doing there is you're eliminating an energy source from which is going to be carbohydrates, and you're replacing it with just a lot of vegetables and a lot of protein. Guess what you're going to feel like? You're going to feel like crap. You're not going to feel good. So, and this is where we're going wrong in the world at the moment. Everybody's just focusing on, okay, I need to lose weight. I need to look a certain way. If I have like psoriasis or skin issues, or if I'm a type 2 diabetic, in order for me to get healthy, I just need to be skinny. I just need to go to the gym and I need to be on a low calorie diet. But we know that's not the way it should be because we've all been there. We eventually got to carnivore, and we know that carnivore healed us very, very quickly. We got rid of that mentality, that toxic atmosphere that we were going through. Now we know the true meaning of life. Now we know what proper nutrition is. Now we know what it's like to thrive and get
Yeah.
better in life. Because what's we should be getting better as we get older. We shouldn't be we
Yes.
shouldn't be struggling. We shouldn't be struggling every year to chase weight loss all the time. I always have this question with the people that I work with. Why are you chasing weight loss all the time? Why are you not looking to get better on a year to year basis?
Healthier.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like you know what I mean. That's where we've lost ourselves. I think, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
yeah.
Go ahead,
And
Chris.
I agree
Chris.
with both of you 100%. You know, it says Dr. Eric Berg says it's not about losing weight to get healthy. You need to get healthy to lose weight. And when you put that in
100%.
perspective and you
Yes.
put it in context, what a lot of people don't understand is they're just focused on losing weight. They think that the best option available is to do a calorie restrictive diet, a very low calorie
Mm,
diet, as you were talking about. Well,
mm,
back when I started learning about all this, the whole thing about counting calories just never made sense to me. When I was a junior in high school, I took chemistry, and in my chemistry class, we discussed about measuring calories. A calorie is basically a unit of heat energy. It's the amount of heat energy required to raise the temperature of
mm,
1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius.
mm, mm.
We're not calorie counting and calculating
At,
machines. We are
yes. Hello.
physiological,
Yeah,
hormonal,
Yes.
endocrine organisms.
yeah.
Mhm.
We stimulate and we release hormones in response to the foods that we take in. We
Yes.
release
Yes.
Mm,
insulin, peptide YY,
mm.
leptin, etc., that help to facilitate the storage and processing of food. It doesn't burn food. We
No,
break down and
no,
extract the nutrients
absolutely. I
to
mean,
produce
you're
energy.
yeah, you're never going to convince me eating 500 calories of, say, junk food is the same as eating 500 calories of just eating red meat, because it's going to impact the body differently, hormonally.
Yes.
This is what's going to happen. So when we talk about the endocrine system and we talk about how it impacts the body, this is what happens. People need to understand why you need to eat on a regular basis. Like, this is what's driving me crazy in the world at the moment with these GLP-1 injections. When you give this GLP-1 injection to this person, you're cutting off the hunger. That's the main thing when you take this injection. It's like you're cutting off the hunger. But
Yeah.
how are we cutting off the hunger if the main issue is still there? Because
Nutrition. Yes.
when you come off the injection, your relationship around food is still the very, very
Hmm.
same.
Yes.
Still the same. You're still tracking calories. You're still eating crap. So you might lose the weight, but you're gonna put it back on. Now, guess what? That's exactly what's happening in the world at the moment. Everybody's
Yes.
losing the weight. They're gaining the weight. They're losing the weight. They're gaining weight. This is what I said a few minutes ago. Why is nobody sustaining this over a long period of time? Why are people chasing the same thing like January is only now 2 months away. After Christmas, everybody's on that trend. Oh, I have to lose weight. I have to lose weight. And then come March, it falls off. You ever notice that? It
Yeah.
falls off.
Yes.
Then they're not interested in losing weight anymore. And then usually
Mhm.
around May time, when they're going on holidays, oh, I better get in shape in here. So it's like, okay, I've got 2 months to get in shape here, so I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to go on a calorie restrictive diet. I'm going to go to the gym every single day, and I'm going to kill myself to lose weight. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
No, and
I
it's
have a
just mine.
question.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Sorry, I
Victoria.
have a question for Christopher.
Yeah.
What significant changes did you perceive in yourself when you went on carnivore? Did it come upon you all at once, or was it gradual? What did you perceive as an improvement when you did carnivore?
So, as I previously mentioned, over the course of 2 weeks, I felt that I significantly built much more muscle, even though I wasn't doing any exercises during those first 2 weeks. I felt better. My mood was elevated. My acne was clearing up. My skin was glowing. Those are some of the
Mm-hmm.
significant benefits that I experienced in such a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I progressed through the 90-day carnivore challenge, it just kept improving even more, and it just kept getting better and better. I had unlimited, consistent energy throughout the day. I woke up earlier in the morning and I felt very refreshed. And it also felt like that I didn't need as much sleep as well because I managed my stress levels so well with everything that I do in my busy, hectic schedule. So there has been a little bit of discussion about the amount of sleep that you need as a strict carnivore. And I think that varies on an individual case by case basis.
Yes, I know what you mean.
So you said as a general rule of thumb, they always say that an adult needs 7 to 8 hours, and children 8 to 10 hours of sleep, or 9 to 10
Hmm.
hours of sleep. But it depends on a number of variables and factors that can affect your quality of sleep and how deep of rest you're getting.
Hmm.
There's different techniques and practices that people like Andrew Huberman have talked about
Yeah.
with non-sleep deep rest,
Hmm.
practicing, liminal state, etc. You know, all that good old
Hmm.
practices. I still need to dive more into that.
Yeah, that goes back to hormonal balance too.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. With melatonin and
Hmm.
adenosine,
Well, 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 we're
etc.
well, we're currently seeing that at the moment with the latest trend about oxidative stress. I mean, everybody's
Mhm.
going on about oxidative stress and how it affects blood sugar, but nobody's actually talking about the cause.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Mhm.
actually talking about how it actually happens in the first place. It's just like, okay, oxidative stress is the reason why we're all struggling. Oxidative stress is the reason why we're all gaining weight. Okay, you're giving me all this information, but explain to me what is oxidative stress. Tell me what's going on here. So when we look at the
I
hormones and we
believe.
look at cortisol and we understand how it impacts. Sorry, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Chris.
I recently watched your video regarding oxidative stress on Saturday, and I believe that the root cause of it, I mean, it goes down to even a quantum biological level with the amount of deuterium concentration. I just wanted to ask you guys real quick, how deeply have you followed the topic of quantum biology and of deuterium and its effect at the mitochondrial level?
Mm.
I'm only peripherally aware of that. I know when you say deuterium, I know what you're talking about, but I'm not very well versed in it. If you can tell us more about it, we'd love to hear it.
So deuterium is basically an isotope of hydrogen. Are you familiar with isotopes? The basic chemical
Yeah.
Yeah,
definition of
I've heard of you.
isotope?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, deuterium isotope has one proton, one neutron, and they accumulate in the mitochondria in a enzyme called ATP synthase. The
Mm.
more
ATP. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, ATP synthase. So it goes through these units called mitochondrial nanomotors, which usually spin like a turbine at 9,000 meters per second. And it uses that to try to pump out a molecule of ATP, which is our molecular currency of energy transport. So the more deuterium that you accumulate, the more those nanomotors are going to get clogged and the more inefficient your mitochondria is going to function. And
Hmm.
this is going
Mm.
down towards the quantum mechanical level.
Wow.
Mm.
So you're
Basically,
pretty well
today,
versed on that.
so so pre-industrial revolution, the concentration of deuterium in our water was measured to be about 120 parts per million. So for every 1 million hydrogen atoms, there was 120 deuterium atoms.
Hmm.
Now, after following the Industrial Revolution, now our water has around 157 parts per million deuterium.
Hmm.
So there's experts on this topic like Laszlo Boris, Gamir Somalai, and Dr. Sarah Pugh. They really touch in depth on this topic, and they have a very broad perspective on this subject matter. It's very
Hmm.
interesting to learn. I'm still diving deep on this topic myself, but it basically helps to enrich your understanding of how your body works at a
Yes.
biochemical level and even deeper at the
Hmm.
quantum level.
Mm.
Wow.
involving atoms, subatomic particles, and its
Hmm.
effects on different parts of the body at the cellular and subcellular levels.
Mm.
So
Go ahead.
I
Go
understand
ahead.
from your Instagram that you're coaching now. Is that
Well,
true?
it's
You're
not. I'm not really
not
doing
formally?
coaching. What I mentioned in my biography is that I've helped privately coach a few
Yes.
people, but I didn't
Hmm.
charge them for that. I did it free of
Hmm.
charge. I mean, I don't care. I don't really care about making money in this particular field. If I
Yeah, me
had to
too.
do it
That
to
way.
make a living, that's a different story right there.
Hmm.
But
Mm.
with my full-time job and I'm making it well as it is, I don't care to make money at this moment, you know, trying to help coach and guide people to
Hmm.
better health and wellness.
Mm.
I
But
just
you
want to see
have. You
people.
mentioned that you have. And you talked about one woman that you help with infertility.
Yeah, so one of my coworkers, she's currently on maternity leave right now. She had some issues with her health, and she was also overweight at the time too. And you know, we always had great talking relations. She was open. I talked to her about keto and carnivore, and she was open to doing that 2 years ago. And so we started talking more and more about it. And I had her go through a transitional period. It was about 6 to 8 weeks transition from her standard American diet to a strict carnivore diet. Because
Mm.
every afternoon when she was coming in to do cashiering, she'd always bring an apple and rice. But then when I started talking to her about keto and carnivore, she dumped the apples and rice, and she brought in eggs and bacon and sometimes burger
Yeah.
patties, you know, every
Hmm.
day to work. And sometimes she would order burger patties from our deli. And I mean, just within the first 4 weeks, she not only I, but our local customers from our store, they've noticed and they complimented the improvements that she had in her body composition. I mean, she was
Mm.
leaning out, she was building more muscle, her skin started glowing, her acne cleared. And she, by the fifth week, she told me that she got her cycles back. I was doing follow-ups with her every
Wow.
Friday to talk
Mm.
about, you know, where she was at in her health and if she was experiencing any side effects
Mm.
or any other issues pertaining to the transition period that she was going through in her dietary change.
Wow.
So
That's
she had
significant.
a
That's
few.
really significant.
Yeah, so she said that her cycles came back, and her and her husband had a daughter about a year later.
Wow. Wonderful.
That's absolutely incredible.
Yep.
That's an amazing story because I work with females myself, and this is a topic that I always work with, and this is something I'm very passionate about. Let me ask you a question, Chris.
Yeah.
What do you think is
Go
the
ahead.
biggest factor when it comes to women losing their menstrual cycle in the first place?
The biggest factor when it comes to them losing their cycles, I'd say that one of the biggest factors, and I mean, I'm not a woman, and I can't really empathize with women if they lose a cycle. I mean, I'm a guy, of
Mm.
course. I'd say that from my observation that one of the biggest factors when it comes to them losing their cycles is that some of them feel depressed. Some of
Yeah, I was
them,
going to say this.
yeah,
Yeah.
feel like that they've lost a sense of meaning and a sense of
Mm.
value. You know, when they especially when they are aware of the fact that they are unable to conceive because they did not have their ovulatory cycles normalized and everything got disrupted, you know, amenorrhea as it's called.
Hmm.
And
Can
you
I
know,
just can I
stuff
just
like that. Go ahead.
can I just add my part in?
Go ahead.
I also agree. I also agree with what you said, but I also believe a big factor is down to hormonal stress. Now, what do
Yes,
I mean by
exactly.
what do I mean by hormonal stress? I mean undereating, not nourishing your body the way it should be, overtraining, way too much training. Now, this is going to cause major stress on the body. Now, when we look at your estrogen levels and we look at the male testosterone, what's the main macronutrient we should be focusing on? We should be focusing on fats,
Fact.
giving the body fats. This is the biggest factor I have with women. When I implement more fat to the diet, this is what improves infertility massively, hugely. You know what I mean? I see this with endometriosis people, fibromyalgia, PCOS. It's not low calorie. It's actually adding more fat to the diet. Because I always say to this women, what's the point in losing weight if your chances of conceiving in 5 years' time are limited from you damaging your body? So I see this from women. When you see all the damage that they've done over the years, it takes time. So that's why I always say to women, it's more hormonal stress. So I completely agree with you, Chris, on this. I think more women need to understand this. Now, like you said, none of us are women. This is only I can only say from working with women what I've seen and the expertise. This is how I've seen it happen. Now, for me, because I've worked with an awful lot of women, I would feel I know this area very, very well. Now, if I only worked with one woman and I got her results, then you have every right to question me. But I've worked with over 200 women now in 5 years. 200 women. And I can tell you right now that about 80% of those women were going through menopause. 80% of those women were going through PCOS. They were having issues with their menstrual cycle. How can someone like me, who is a man, what these women are always saying to me, you cannot possibly understand what women are going through. Okay, well, explain that to this woman over here who's able to conceive, who's able to get her menstrual cycle back, who's able to get rid of all these period pains. How do you explain all that? How do you explain that these women were told that your chances of conceiving are limited without IVF, and then they come and see me 6 months later, I'm getting a message saying, Mark, it's a miracle. I'm going to have a child. Explain that to me.
It's wonderful because you're speaking the
It's
truth.
crazy.
So it is. No, it's very
Yeah.
crazy, and it goes back to the conversation that we were having about the importance of utilizing our diet to optimize our overall health, and not just our
Yeah.
hormonal health, but physical health,
Yeah.
etc. So back to what I was going to say, I was also going to go on to say too that it was also about hormonal stress with hormone levels like progesterone, estrogen,
Yeah. Yeah.
DHEA, cholesterol, the level of dietary fat intake that we need to acquire all the essential fatty acids and the cholesterol that we need from our diet to produce the sufficient amount of hormones to maintain their cycles and their overall hormonal health. And I mean, it varies on an individual case by case basis, and it's not going to be the same for every woman. I mean, even if they're the same age, same gender, same level of physical activity, fitness, etc. I mean, there's, certain genetics and there's certain SNPs, or what they call single nucleotide polymorphisms, that can affect can have a significant impact on one little factor, that can definitely alter their requirements for certain nutrients and
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
all the different parameters that we measure to determine health, even though overall health is not determined by one single biometric parameter.
Yeah. 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 We need to go back to the basics here. And when people mention health, doctors, nutritionists, and dietitians, what do we define as health? Because at the moment, nobody has an idea. Because if they did, we wouldn't have a national health crisis at the moment. Every second person is
International.
on
Yeah.
medication. Every second person is on medication.
Mm.
Yeah,
We do have an
medication for,
international.
and
Yes.
it's
And
everything. Like obesity, we have the solution. Obesity, we have the solution. Menopause, we have the solution. Type 1 and 2, we have the solution. It's like we have the solution to everything. medication, but
No,
we're
but
not
it's not.
focusing on the
Those
main issue
solutions
here.
are not working. But I have
No,
another
they're not
question
working
for
because
Those
Chris.
the issues are going up.
Yeah. Before you get to that, I was going to add to your point the so-called allopathic solution that
Mm-hmm.
doctors and all the medical experts try to push upon us, from big pharma and big food and big agriculture. It doesn't even treat the issues at the root cause. It only just temporarily manages symptoms. And
That's it.
just controlling and managing symptoms over a set period of time is not going to offer a resolute cure for the condition at the root cause. I mean, people really need to understand that. They need
Mm-hmm.
to understand that there are certain factors that are within your power and control that
Yes,
you can
yes, yes.
optimize, that you can take upon yourself to help improve your health, reverse the direction where your health is going, and work to improve your quality of life.
Yeah,
It's easier
that's
said than done, and
exactly.
it takes mindset, discipline, and self faith and confidence in your ability to bring better change for yourself. And it starts with
Hmm.
Exactly
yourself.
true.
And once you change
Yeah.
yourself for the better, then you can help others if they're willing to listen. And
Yes.
unfortunately, there's a lot of people in this day and age that are just not ready to listen, or and if you try to even have a conversation with them about it, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've had to experience this myself, and it's real painful to talk about that when I try and discuss the topic of nutrition and about all the possible options that there are just for consideration. I get hostile feedback, from certain
Yes. Yes.
individuals. And
Don't ruffle their
I just
feathers.
I
Yeah.
try to I try
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I try and talk to them as gentle and as respectful as can be. And they
Mm-hmm.
still give a real hostile response. And I think
Oh, they're hooked.
what it boils down to is a deeper, it's like they have deeper psychological, and I also would like to add physiological insecurities, because our physiology has not only an impact on how you know, our gut health works, when it comes to the microbiome, et cetera, which we are barely scratching the surface on in research.
Yeah,
These physiological impacts also extend to the neurological and psychological levels and how it influences our behavioral patterns and our mood.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Victoria only
Yeah.
spoke about this before we got on the call to you. That this is the
Yes.
biggest
Yeah.
thing that we see at the moment, is when we have these conversations with these people. You can see they're very very aggressive about the conversation. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we're currently seeing at the moment that carnivores are going back to carbohydrates, and you can see the difference in how they speak.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit more aggressive. Now, when you're addicted
Mm-hmm.
to something, you're gonna do whatever it takes to keep that
Satisfy the
safe.
addiction.
Yeah, you're gonna do whatever it
Mm-hmm.
takes. So you're gonna back it up. You're always gonna fight your case. You ever notice that? Whether it's alcohol, whether
Yes.
it's
Oh,
drugs, whether
yes.
it's carbohydrates, you're always gonna do whatever it takes and say, "There's nothing wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
These foods are fine. You can add these into your diet." And then they get aggressive about it, and then you're in the background and you're just nice and relaxed. You're just nice and relaxed. I'm having
Mm-hmm.
this now at the moment with a guy at the moment. He's actually a vegan, and I offered him nicely just to come on and have a live debate with me on this. I said to him I wasn't going to be nasty. I just want to have a live debate, meat versus vegan. That's it. The amount of messages that I got off him last night was unbelievable. I'm an animal killer. I was getting
Yeah,
unbelievable. I was
that's the
getting
typical
unbelievable.
response.
Yeah, it's
Aggression.
unbelievable, and I can see it straight away. I can see straight away what the problem is. It's what he's given is what he's feeding his brain. His brain is not getting enough cholesterol.
Yep.
And
There you
that's
go.
where the
Exactly. Yeah.
aggressiveness comes from. And it's
That's a
incredible. It's
part.
Go ahead, Chris, sorry.
That's a part of the reason too. They're not providing themselves the most bioavailable essential fatty acids like EPA and DHA and all the odd chain fatty acids that we acquire through red meat. But the other factor too that I also believe has an impact is what they are eating from the plant sourced foods. plant source foods contain a cholesterol antagonist called phytosterol.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yes.
phytosterol competes with cholesterol, with absorption,
Yes.
competes for
Thank you.
absorption with
Yes.
cholesterol at the
In the
level of the gut.
cells for uptake.
So
Exactly.
So the more phytosterol you take in relative to any cholesterol, depending on what your dietary pattern is, you are not going to be maximizing the absorption of your cholesterol in the presence of
Exactly.
high
Exactly.
phytosterol intake.
Thank you. Yes.
So
Bravo. That's very crucial
Great.
and
thank
Great
you.
answer.
important, and
Yeah.
why
100%.
carnivore is working. Yes. Thank you. I was going to
Yeah,
ask
and
you
I
what
mean
your core philosophy
phytosterol
was. There it
intake.
is. Mhm.
Yeah, what I was going to say about phytosterol intake is that it is basically incompatible. It's evolutionarily inconsistent. It's incompatible with our ancestral blueprint for our for the diet, for the dietary
Mhm.
pattern and the lifestyle patterns that we've had dating back to Homo sapiens sapiens, back over 4.5 million years, according to nitrogen
Yes.
isotope analysis. I mean, that's the
Mhm.
basic. It provides the nitrogen isotope analysis provides the best quality of scientific research into our human origin and what we did throughout the course of our lifespan as the human species. And we basically consumed over 80% of our calories, as they say,
Yeah.
in the form of fatty red meat. From the meat
Mhm.
and associated fat of large ruminant animals. The only time when we took in any plants was very tiny fibrous tubers that we would just chew, for a couple of times and then spit back out when there was famine
Yeah.
and when we were short on animal source foods. And we'd also have a few berries, 2 to 3 weeks out of the year prior to the onset of winter. So
Mm.
Yeah.
it's,
But that's
yeah, that
key.
was
That's
basically
very
the
key.
only time when we had plants, and plants were basically subsistence food. We didn't thrive off the plants alone. We thrived on the intake of animal source foods,
Yeah.
primarily
Yes.
the
Yeah.
muscle meat of large ruminant and the associated fat of large ruminant animals.
You got to get you a YouTube
100%.
channel,
Yeah.
Chris. You got to start telling people these things because this is what we're working on, this mission. And I
Well,
wanted to
Chris,
ask you the question I wanted to ask
if
you.
I get, I was just gonna ask, I was just gonna add one more thing, Chris. If I get this guy to come on with me, I'm definitely reaching out to you to come on with
I
me.
Yes,
really
that would be
appreciate it.
great.
Yeah, I just want to say to you and your audience, and I really pray that your audience grows because I've checked out your YouTube channel, and in my opinion, your YouTube channel is not getting enough views. It's not getting
Are you
enough
talking
views
Yeah,
that
about the
it
meat? Are
should
you
be.
talking
You
about
guys
the?
are doing
Are you talking about
excellent.
the meat
we're
of the
getting
matter?
there.
The meat of the matter one,
No,
or
carnivore evolution.
myself
Huh?
and myself? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Are you talking
Carnivore
about me of the?
Evolution. The Carnivore Evolution YouTube channel is. Yeah, the
Really,
Carnivore
really,
Evolution YouTube channel, is not getting the kind of views as it should be, in my opinion. And you
really,
guys are
Yeah.
really.
providing an excellent platform, and you're having very deep discussions talking about what really matters to us. And you are providing an alternative perspective and all the different options and potential solutions that people should consider to improve their own health and well being. They can take it upon themselves to improve their own health and well-being
Well, all I can say is
because of
it's
people
been
like you
it's
and many other influencers.
well, no, all I will say it's been a team effort. I mean, myself and Victoria set this up about a year ago. And we always said we weren't doing this for any financial gain. We were just doing this for awareness. So yeah, thanks for the
Of
kind
course.
words, Chris.
Yes, thank
Go
you.
Yeah,
ahead,
That is
Victoria.
very
we're
Sorry.
kind of you.
basically doing
It's
this.
true.
What I was going to say is this is a team effort, and this is an effort by our own community. And I mean, there's several people in our community that, they're doing it for financial gain without a doubt. There's several people in this community, that really need to wise up. I'm not going to name names, but what the three of us, what we're trying to do at least, we have no financial interest in this whatsoever. No financial interest. We just want to share our stories. We want to share the solutions, the potential solutions that they should consider, which have worked for us in our own way.
Mhm.
A solution that can be customized, and tailored, for their individual needs. And to do it in a way that is ancestrally and evolutionarily consistent with our biology and physiology. I've noticed this trend as you were discussing about all these different carnivores and all these different keto people that are reintroducing carbohydrates back into their diet.
Oh, yeah.
I've watched this trend, and there's several people. There was even several people that I've actually worked and interacted with that started doing this. And what I have to say about that with reintroducing exogenous carbohydrates back into the diet, here's the key point. There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate in the human diet whatsoever, because our body has the capacity to utilize fat and protein to convert to carbohydrates like glucose and even fructose when our body needs it. Now, for your audience and for people who don't know, the male reproductive tract utilizes fructose for sperm motility. And what does that mean exactly? It means that the sperm utilizes fructose to move and to transport, to move and swim around, through, the passage that it needs to go through. Anyway, back to the gluconeogenesis talk. We can utilize the fat and protein that we take in from our diet to make the carbohydrates like glucose that our body needs. We don't need to take in excessive amounts of dietary carbohydrates. If you want to reintroduce carbohydrates, that's your choice. That's your own personal choice, and I respect that. But just be mindful that do not go above your own personal threshold, however, much carbohydrate you can tolerate. You just be very mindful of how much you can take. And, say my recommendation generally, no more than say like more than 50 grams. Don't exceed over 50 grams or no more than
But
75 grams,
but can
depending
I
on who
but
you are and your.
but can I just ask you the question, Chris? Because this is what I just don't
Go
understand.
ahead.
Why would you add
Yeah.
the carbohydrates in the first place? Because this is the question I'm always asking these people. Why are you adding the carbohydrates in? Tell me the benefits. Now, from a body composition, can carbohydrates be beneficial? Yes, of course. They can actually make you look a little bit bigger. But like I said earlier on, that's just an illusion.
Mhm.
That's just an illusion. So
Yeah. Mhm.
from a body composition standpoint, maybe they might have a little bit of benefit. But when it comes to your overall health, I'm sorry, but I don't understand why you would add carbohydrates back in the diet. Give me the reason why you would add the carbohydrates back in. Because for me, I will never be a moderator around carbohydrates because I know what the impact it has on me. When I have carbohydrates, it's going to set me off and it's going to lead on to something else, and that's where I struggle. Now, don't get me wrong. There's people out there that have carbohydrates and they can moderate carbohydrates, and that's absolutely fine. The problem I have is that if it
Mhm.
works for you, don't start sharing it to the world, because what works for you is not going to work for somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. So, in response to your question there, I believe that for many people that there is a psychological component to why they want to reintroduce carbohydrates, and there's an emotional attachment that's part of the psychological component. See, we all have a certain relationship with our food. It boils down to the relationships with the foods that we had. I mean, we utilize, strict carnivore to heal and reverse some of our conditions, that result from chronic metabolic dysfunction. But then, people think about, all the contraindicated foods, like some of the plant foods, even some of the ultra processed foods that they missed, and they just wanted to think about reintroducing it in for an occasional basis. And I mean, that's a very risky behavior right there, because there are many people that reintroduce these foods back in, they start having adverse reactions, and then their carbohydrate addiction starts coming back. And then it's harder for them to break the addiction the second or third time around and to get back to a more proper human diet, as Dr. Ken Berry calls it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think
that's
It's
very.
I
about the
think that's the most
quality of the relationship.
yeah, I think it's very,
Yeah.
very important that we get that point
Sorry.
across. Sorry, Chris. No, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
Okay, so as I was going to finish off, it boils down to the quality of the relationships we have with our food, as well as our perception of that food and the impact that it has on us, as well
Yes.
as,
Yeah.
versus the perspective, from scientific insights that know about the nutritional composition of these foods and
Hmm.
whatever nutrients as well as anti-nutrients these foods may hold. And we have all these, the plant foods have all these anti-nutrients and these phytotoxins like oxalates, lectins,
Yes.
phytates, saponins, you
Yes.
name it. I mean, just
Yes.
a whole
Hmm.
host of all these chemical defense compounds that the plants themselves produced from their genetic code to discourage
Hmm.
predation and consumption from animals such as
Exactly.
us,
Hmm. Very
such
true.
as humans
So,
as well as mammals.
if you were to
Go ahead.
advise someone who's interested in carnivore, starting carnivore, what approach would you advise for eating on a practical level? How they would change, how they would transition from their standard American diet or whatever else they're doing? What would you say? What would you tell them?
So, at a practical level, what I would encourage them to do is to start very slow. You need to start a transitional process that lasts 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes maybe even longer, depending on factors such as oxalate toxicity, because that's another topic that we need to focus on too. That's not really being discussed enough, is oxalate toxicity. And the best
Yeah.
way to relieve oxalate toxicity is to gradually take in, oxalates from low oxalate veggies and fruits, and then gradually eliminate those over time as we're smoothly clearing the oxalates. You still might even get side effects from gradual oxalate clearing, but you're not going to get the adverse level, you're not going to get the severe level of side effects that you would get if you were just to dump a whole bunch of those deposited oxalates at once. And oxalates deposit at every level of the human body, not just at the level of the kidneys, but it deposits in our blood vessels. That basically what makes up more than 87% of our atherosclerotic lesions is basically calcium oxalate deposits. 87% plus or minus 7%. Either way,
Wow.
it still makes up a
Yes.
majority of the plaque, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
damages the endothelial lining of our
Yes.
blood vessels.
Mm-hmm.
That is the primary reason why you find fatty plaques and fatty deposits in our arterial lining,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not the cause of it. It is
Mm-hmm.
it's the mechanism that is trying to repair the damage to the endothelial
Yes.
lining. And that's another
Exactly.
topic that most people don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. It is the
No, it's
cholesterol,
so
it's the
ironic.
cholesterol
Yes.
and the
Mm-hmm.
lipoproteins.
Yes.
It's the
Thank you.
cholesterol and the lipoproteins that are working to heal the arterial lining. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the
100%.
enemy.
Yes,
It's
100%.
just it's
it's
just
there
like
to
saying a
fix what you're
firefighter
breaking.
started a
Yes.
fire.
Yes, exactly. The ambulance didn't cause the
I can barely hear.
problem.
I can barely hear you. Looks like we're losing your mic there.
I'm sorry. It's
Can
not
you
the
hear me?
ambulance that caused the
I can hear
problem.
you. I
Yes,
can
I
hear you,
can hear
Chris.
you just
I
fine.
can't hear you.
Okay.
want to be respectful of your time,
Go ahead.
Chris. But before we let you go, where can people go to find you?
So right now, people can come to find me at my Instagram address, which is at Crispy Carnivore 22. It's Crispy
Mm-hmm.
with a C and Carnivore with a C as well. And then on Facebook, you can find my name, Christopher Medina. I am hard to find on Facebook, but I also have my email too, which I just shared with you guys. If you want to shoot me an email at any time, go right ahead.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. You,
Definitely.
you
That's
put,
We'll
where
definitely
did you
put
information
those
put
I
in.
your
like to
email?
keep private. So right now, all I just have
Yeah.
is my face email. It's
Yes.
crispycarnivore22 at gmail.com.
At Gmail. Okay. All right. We got that. Very good.
Perfect.
This has been an excellent conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for
I
joining
typically
us.
keep that. Yeah, I typically keep that private, but I'll share it with you on this occasion here. And it's been an honor to have this discussion with you on this platform. I am going
Thank.
to be doing an interview with Dr. Robert Kiltz later this month.
Lovely.
So, and we're
Wonderful.
going to touch
Wonderful. We
more on
need to
these
see more
issues
of
as
you.
well and get each other's perspectives on these subjects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Ask
Amazing,
him
Chris.
really
about the
Well,
appreciate it.
potatoes
Yeah, and I
too.
mean, I'm
it's
not Yeah, he took a yeah, he had a baked potato with some sour cream on it. I saw that video about 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I mean, it's that's his choice, and I respect Dr. Kiltz for that. The key takeaway of that video that he did recently is that you need to open your mind to other things. I mean, yeah, it's having a baked potato, having some kind of plant substance here and there on occasion, it's not going to kill you necessarily, but you just need to be mindful about how your body's going to respond to it and how you're going to perceive the nutritional
absolutely.
impact on your body
Mm-hmm.
and what
Yeah.
Yeah.
may come down the road just because you decided to go off the carnivore or keto bandwagon for that very occasion. Yeah, I
100%.
just wanted to
100%.
go on to say too, I'm not really used to doing interviews on these kind of platforms, so sometimes I lose my train of thought from time to
Oh,
time.
you did great.
But so just
Really
bear
enjoyed
with
this
me, and
conversation.
I hope to do more interviews with you in the future.
Yes, we'll have you
With
back.
you and
Thank you so
with many
much.
other of the influencers. I did an interview with Bart K back in May of this year, and that video still hasn't been uploaded. So it's yeah, I
Mm.
mean internet issues, etc. I mean Bart K's had a growing platform, and he's got a very entertaining channel too. I mean, not everybody likes the way he
Yes, he
presents himself
does.
on the web, but that's just his persona. In a more personal level, he is a very nice guy, and I have had private chats with him, behind the scenes, and he is a very nice,
Yes,
honest,
he is.
responsible individual. And we need to look
Mm-hmm. I
beyond
agree.
the web persona. You need to see
Mm-hmm.
people for who they
Yeah.
truly
Definitely.
Well,
are
he's trying to get
inside
the
and
message
out.
out.
Yeah, we
He's
need to
trying to
get the
get
message
attention
out.
and
We
get the
need to
message out.
spread awareness
Mhm.
of what our ancestrally and evolutionarily consistent way of eating and way of life is. What made human beings thrive so that we could be here today to have this very discussion.
Well
Exactly.
said. Well said.
Well, thank you
Is
so
there anything
much.
else that
We appreciate it.
we can touch up on before we end this interview?
No, but Chris,
No, I
what
got
I'd
my
like to do
questions
is I'd
asked.
like to get you on
I
again if you're available. I'd like to get you on in probably in the next week or two
Mm-hmm.
because I know we have so much more to talk about. So if you're available in say another a week or two, I'd love
Yes.
to invite you back on again.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
we'll
to be
get the
back
calendar
on
straightened
there,
out for
and
that.
what I
Or
like to
you could do
do.
it on Meat of the Matter.
I can't hear you, Victoria. I'm sorry, you're cutting out.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
I can
Mark has
barely
another
hear you.
channel. Has another channel called Meat of the Matter, which is the YouTube channel you're familiar with. So we could do it either on here or Meat of the Matter.
I'm sorry, I didn't capture all of what you
I was.
said. You kept cutting out while
She
you
was
were
just.
speaking.
You can hear me, Chris? Can you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you right now. Yes.
Okay, so she was just saying that we have a Meat of the Matter podcast, and if you're available in the next week or two, I'd love to invite you on that show.
Yeah, I would like to go on that show. Yeah, what I do in my spare time is I just like to read a lot. I have a whole book collection. It's a small library, but I love reading books. I have a lot of books on nutrition and some books on biochemistry, etc. And I also like to take time to go on, the medical journals to read, all the latest published literature. And, a lot of the literature, over 95 to 99% of it is not of the ideal quality. Anything that you read and interpret on there, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. And
Yeah.
you can consider it, but you also need to critically interpret and analyze the scientific methodologies that were utilized to conduct that study in the first place. If it's epidemiology, if it's just self-respondent surveys, that's just total
Yes.
crap. You need to have
Yeah.
experimental intervention to a degree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hands-on
Well,
experimental.
The ethics committees will not allow that because it's Go ahead.
I was just going to say, no,
Okay, so what I was going to say
it's
is
been. Go ahead. No, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. Okay, so I'll finish my point here. So, as I was saying about that, it's considered unethical to have human trials. Ethics committees won't allow that. It's also impractical because if you want to do a real scientific study with experimental intervention, you're going to have to keep that subject locked in a lab, participant locked
Yeah.
in a lab for
Very
basically the course of their
restrictive.
whole life. And, we all have free will. We all have personal choices to make. We don't want to be locked in a lab and be used as a guinea pig for whatever purpose or objective that the scientists are trying to achieve in the experiment. And it's also financially and economically unfeasible. It's just unaffordable, simply.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're never going to be able to acquire the true ideal quality studies that would really inform on hard health outcomes over a course of 4 decades at the very least, as well as cause and effect. Because there's no studies that truly inform on cause and effect that exist in today's literature.
No, 100%, and that's where we're all going wrong. But as I said, Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you. I've learned an awful lot from you. You're a very, very knowledgeable guy. We'll definitely have to do this again, 100%. And I'll definitely be staying in touch with you very, very soon. And I really appreciate the feedback that you gave us about our podcast. And yeah, we'll be speaking again very, very soon. Thanks for coming on.
Sounds very good, man. It's an honor to be on here. Thank you for your time and thank you for interviewing me. I'll have a lot more to share on our next interview.
Brilliant. Okay. Have a good day. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Take care, guys.
Bye, buddy. See you later, buddy. Bye.